right. Doo-doo-doo. Okay. Hello, my friends. I hope that you can see this well. Welcome to another Facebook Live. This one is all about getting to know your Stamparatus tool, which is what is looking at you on the screen right now. The Stamparatus tool is a positioning tool. It comes with all these things, not the cards, obviously. So I'm going to show you how to use it. Just a few things. I can't show you everything in one video because there are so many things, because it is just an awesome tool and you really should have it. So, you know, go to my online store and get it as soon as you possibly can. So what I'm going to show you is a few things, like some basic stamping with it. I'll show you how to do some oops correction stamping with it. And I've got a couple of tips and tricks, and I'm going to show you how to stamp a circle of repeat images to make a wreath similar to this, or a circle image of sorts. So it's a repeat stamping image. So those are the things I'm going to show you in this video. But first, if we've never met before, I'm Amy Jasper. Hello. I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. I've been a demonstrator for almost 13 years, coming up in February. I love how easy Stampin' Up! Makes it to create beautiful things with paper, inks, and stamps, which is why I do what I do, because it's fun. Why wouldn't I want to? It's my stress relief too, honestly. So yeah, so let me show you a few things with the Stamparatus. So I'm going to put these plates aside for that. That's for the wreath. So I'll set that aside and I'll bring in the plates to show you the simple stamping that I did to create this card. This is with the detailed deer stamp. Lovely, lovely. I really like it. I did this card with some 9 to 13-year-old girls at an event, and they loved, first of all, using the Stamparatus because it was so easy, but they also just were happy to make something, and they were thrilled with the results. They loved it. So I was happy about that, happy to share that with them. And I'm trying to follow on my tablet to see if I can watch see if I can see what I'm doing here, because my camera is too high for me to look at your questions or to respond to you, so I won't be responding. I'm sorry, because I can't see it. I was hoping I'd be able to just follow along on Facebook on my tablet, but maybe I need to find another account to log into. Anyways, moving along. I can't respond to your questions until the end, so I will have a quick look at them at the end and see if anybody comes to check this out. Okay, so simple stamping, that's what we're showing first. So I have my paper that I'm going to stamp on, and I have already put my stamps on my block, or stamps on the Stamparatus plates in the position that I wish them to be in. So I will tuck my pre-cut piece of paper into the corner. And because it's a small piece of paper, I really only need to use one magnet. These magnets are very strong, so you have to be super careful with them. So as much as I'm able to, I just use one. So I'm just going to use that down. Oh, see that? Like, so strong. So I'm just going to tuck that down there so that it's not in the way of this stamp. Move my cards out of the way. Okay, so then I have my black Memento ink for the sentiment, and I have Bermuda Bay for my deer. And one little tip I can offer you is when you're inking up your stamps, sometimes because the plates are at an angle, it can feel a little awkward to ink them up, and I don't know, some people worry that they'll press too hard maybe. So if you put if you put a stamp case underneath, then it's easier to ink. I'm going to grab another stamp case here for this side. Then it's easier to ink up your rubber stamps. So I'm using Memento Black for the happiest Christmas wishes. Stamp that on there like so, and I have aligned it. I've positioned it to where I want it already, and basically all I did for that was I laid my stamp clean where I wanted it on the card, and then put the plate over to pick it up, to pick up the stamp, and then it was in the position I wanted. And then if I really needed to be sure, because it's a rubber stamp, it's hard to tell sometimes if it is in fact straight. So I used the grid lines. I don't know if you can see them in the video, but I used the grid lines on the Stamparatus plate to make sure that to eyeball it and make sure my sentiment was actually straight on the plate, because if it's straight on the plate, then it will be straight when it flips to the other side. Okay. So then I used Bermuda Bay ink for the reindeer. Oh no, look what happened. I hope you can see that. I can't tell if you can see that because I can't see. It's very frustrating. Oh yes, you can see that. See how it's not stamped, like the head's gone. It's a headless reindeer. Oh, that's terrible. We don't want that. But that's okay. With the Stamparatus, when you have everything positioned and your paper is tucked in the corner, you know that all you have to do is stamp it again. So I could ink it up again, although it's because the ink, in this case, it's because I didn't press there, so maybe I won't bother inking it again. So now I want to put down again. This time I'm going to press firmly up top. Sometimes near the hinge it won't get the same pressure, so I need to use some extra gusto to press that down there. Let's see if that helped me. There. Oh, that's so much better. So that's some simple stamping with the Stamparatus. So then with that, I made this card, Happiest Christmas Wishes. It has the Whisper White cardstock, the Granny Apple Green tucked underneath there. That's on dimensionals, and it's on Bermuda Bay cardstock for the card base. Normally I put a nice piece of white paper inside so that's something nice to write on. I didn't do that yet. And then this is the linen thread and some rhinestones to finish it all off. The 9 to 13-year-olds that made this card with me, every single one of them needed help with their linen bow, and I was perfectly fine to do that for them. But in my classes, ladies, you know that I make you tie your bows most of the time. Most of the time. So that is that one. So that's simple stamping. Now I'm going to clean my stamps, and there is one way. So again, I'm making sure this, people lose these because they're so magnetic. Like it will stick to anything metal that you have kicking around by accident. So here's my, yeah, anyways, it's a magnet. It's going to stick to things, so make sure you know where it goes. Okay, so another little tip I can offer you is for quick cleaning of your stamps, you can take the chamois. This is a Stampin' Up! Product for cleaning your stamps, particularly useful for the Stamparatus. Mine is very stained and dirty, but it's been used. That's what it's going to look like. I don't know if you can get the stains out. I don't really care. They don't come off once I've rinsed it. So as long as you keep it rinsed in between uses, it won't come off on your hands or on your projects. Not that you're going to put this on your project, so don't do that. Don't put it on your project. Anyways, so I'm going to clean my stamps the quick kind of way. I'm just going to keep the stamps on the plate and clean them clean them on my chamois. This one takes a little longer because it's so big. This isn't a perfect clean. The chamois just has water on it, so, but it's good for kind of in between, and it's pretty hard to use. Normally I would use my Stampin' Scrub, but it's pretty hard to get this in the Stampin' Scrub, right? So this is pretty much how I clean my stamps, except sometimes just pressing it's not going to be enough. So then I will actually use a little bit more elbow action and get in the grooves between to really get it clean. But it came pretty clean, actually. I think we're good. So that's your simple stamping. I gave you a couple tips there, and the chamois is another tip. You'll notice that there's the new grid paper. It's very handy too. I don't have to worry about getting ink on my Stamparatus down here, although it is, as long as it's not stays on ink, it will wipe off if it gets on there, because that's just I don't know, plastic, I guess. Okay, so the next thing I want to just share with you is using the Stamparatus to make a wreath. So what I did to prepare for this is I made a template, and this is going to have to be attached with 2 magnets. So the Stamparatus has a place, 2 spots to store your magnets. Notice that they are separate from each other, very far apart, because if they're closer, they just want to be together so badly. So if they get too close, they will go for it. So you got to be really careful that you don't get too close. They will break. These are earth magnets, which are very strong magnets, but they're also very brittle. So you don't want them to get too close to each other and smash together and break. Sometimes if they break, you have 4 magnets, and that's okay. But doesn't always break so neatly, so you want to make sure that you are careful. Okay, so I've got my 2 magnets on. I've got my template. This template is a 6x6 square, and I just measured halfway and drew a grid line. So this is what it would have looked like. I drew a grid line. Oh, I did forget to do something. Okay. Yeah, so I drew a grid line so that I would know where my center is. Then I cut my first square, which is the one you see. Then after I cut my square, oh, I also drew lines on my square framelit too. So my square framelit has lines on it to show where halfway is as well. So that way when I cut it, I made sure that my lines lined up with my grid lines on my paper. And then after the first square was cut, I turned my framelit and cut so that the grid lines lined up with my corner bits here, my corner of my square framelit, making sure that this was all equal space as well. So then I ended up with this sort of star pattern, which is what we're going to use as our base. Now I have to apologize because I didn't cut a new square. I only got this one, so I'm going to use this one. It's going to have this funny grid pattern, but it'll give the idea still of how I did this, how this technique works. So for this one I used the Rooted in Nature clear mount stamp, and we're just going to use this one right here, this leafy pattern. So I have it here, and I've already mounted it where I want it on the block. And I'm just going to double check that I have it the way I want it. Yes. Okay. So now another little tip with your Stamparatus is that a lot of people find that the Stampin' Spots help or make inking up easier, especially when you have a smaller stamp like this, or yeah, a smaller stamp like this one, Because sometimes what happens is when you use a big ink pad, you end up, your pressure is off or whatever, and you end up with ink all over your clear plate. And that's not a big deal. It wipes off easily, but it's messy and it's frustrating. So you can get Stampin' Spots. These ones come in the Paper Pumpkin kits that I get every month. If you like Paper Pumpkin and you like the idea of having a little crafting kit come to your door every month, then make sure you go to paperpumpkin.com and subscribe to Paper Pumpkin, because that's awesome. But also, if you don't have a Paper Pumpkin subscription, you can order uninked Stampin' Spots so that you can use your re-inkers. Oh, there's an old one. First one I grabbed. Very old and yucky. You can use your re-inkers to ink whatever color you want on your blank, uninked Stampin' Spot. So, but I'm going to use this Paper Pumpkin one that I have from my last Paper Pumpkin kit that I showed you. What? I showed you that last week, didn't I? Anyways, so what we're going to do is we're going to ink up our leaf like so. And then we are going to stamp it. I'm just going to stamp it one time like that, right? And then I'm going to rotate my paper a quarter turn, so to the next slot. It's important to pay attention to that. And then I'm going to flip this and stamp it without inking it again, you'll notice, because I want some variation in my wreath. Pardon my dog, he's barking at somebody on the street, I'm sure. I don't know, I assume you can hear him because he's very loud and my door is open, so that doesn't help. So now I'm inking it again. Stamping. And then I quarter turn again. So we just keep going around. And this time I'm not inking it. So every time I'm alternating. Ink, not ink, ink, not ink. Then, whoops, turn it again. Inking it up. Stamping and inking. It's so easy, you guys, and as you go along it certainly gets faster. But imagine, okay, this one I don't want to ink. Imagine how quick it is to make your cards, especially if you're making a whole bunch at once, like Christmas cards, for example. It's so much faster when you have everything set up ahead of time in your Stamparatus. All right, one more uninked one. There we go. Look at that. Okay, except for except for the grid with my pen. That's a good wreath, right? Very nice. I think it turned out good. Okay, so I'm going to put my inks away. Always, always, always put your ink lids back on. I'm going to clean my stamp again. This time, I'm just going to do it this way. When you clean your stamps with the chamois, just be aware that you might end up getting ink on your hand if it has fresh ink on it. If it's rinsed, you won't get any ink on you. So there we go, that's clean. One option is to always use one side so that one side is clean, and then you have a gripping, kind of a handhold side. That could be very helpful. Wish I had thought of that before. All right, what else did I want to share with you? Oh, now I don't know, let me think here. I have, well, I was going to show you how you use photopolymer stamps versus using rubber stamps on here, but I don't have my mat part. I don't know where it went. My craft room is a disaster. absolute wreck. So I don't even want to try to find it. So we'll just not do that right now. Okay, so that is all. So using the wreath, or using this method, I created this wreath card. It has also the berries, and I strategically placed the berries to cover up kind of these stem bits. It actually doesn't look too bad, but the stem bits, they bothered me a little bit. So I just used the dots from, I don't even know what stamp set that's from. Hopefully it's from the same one. Anyways, I can't remember. I'm not that organized. I'm imperfect, and that's okay. Okay, so yeah, so I did those in the using the same method. I did the berries as well, and then those are heat embossed with gold embossing powder. You can see there. This is the Farmhouse Designer Series paper, and yeah, all the things. I can't remember the names of anything today. This stamp set is awesome. Oh, that's from the house stamp. Anyways, maybe I'll post the names of everything at the end of the video, because I didn't write them down and I don't have that good of a memory, because, you know, I can't keep all those things in my head. Yeah, so thank you for joining me for my Facebook Live video today. I'm going to be doing Facebook Live videos every Friday at 11 in the morning, as long as I'm able to. So I hope that you will remember that and join me next time. And yeah, maybe I'll share some more Stamparatus things next time too, because there's just so many more things that you can do with it, and it's just an awesome tool. And honestly, if you don't have one already, you should get one if you stamp at all, because it's just such a great tool. So thanks for joining me here at Inking on the Fly, and I hope that you will join me again next time. Thanks, guys.